You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming. Some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Devil's Gambit. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, we're up and let's go. There's nowhere to run, you dull-witted man. But don't worry, I'll grant you time to consider my offer. In the meantime, consider this a show of my goodwill. The demon's hand glows as he extends it toward me. I cower and hide behind the bed, not knowing what to expect. However, soon I realize he's offering me a handshake. Pick a word, then touch my hand and say it out loud. You'll be able to repel me. You lie, demon. Since when do demons lie, Hector? Swallowing saliva, I stand up and take hold of his hand. Fading. The glow subsides, but Ranskai doesn't let me go. Again. Fading? Then it returns, accompanied by a terrible sound. Ranskai quickly pulls away. His hand is on fire, and although he doesn't let it show in his face, it's obvious he's in pain. It is done. Say fading while I'm touching you, and I'll burst into flames. Don't even think about doing something idiotic like hugging me and saying it over and over, or I'll make you regret it. But if you just want a hug, I'll allow it. Alright. You do want one, then? No, you already know what I meant. Ranskai cackles, and with an exaggerated gesture raises his hand again. I'll be back soon, Hector. Think carefully about what you want for your future. All I know of the future is that I don't want to have any involvement with a demon. You wanted Kadan to change your life, didn't you? To be an inspiration, a hero that would save you from the constraints of your pathetic, stiff life. I'm no hero, but everything else I can provide. Just have to say yes next time. Until then, Hector. He snaps his fingers, and as suddenly as he appeared, he's gone. I'm half crouching by the bed, expecting him to jump at me from some dark corner, but by the time I calm down enough for the night's bitter cold to bother me, I realize I'm truly alone. Only then do my legs give in and I fall on the floor, heaving. I don't know when it happened, but the door is back, too. Was that really not a dream? Am I going insane? No, I shouldn't entertain any of those possibilities, or else the demon might come back in a more vengeful mood. As I wind down, a thought pops up in my head. I immediately try to drown it, but alone and shivering as I am, there's nothing I can do to stop it from surfacing. Maybe it wouldn't have been so bad to accept that hug, right? A new journal entry has been unlocked. Though everything became still, it never stopped. It donned a crown of branches, bathed in its parents' light, and reached for the sky. Though buried out of sight, it matured. A darkness within the shadow of every man, woman, and child, biding its time. Act 2, Chapter 1. Good morning. Second now, water time. Alright, let's relax. It's just a griddle. Okay. Ranskai, there we go. The Devil of Renai, and self-proclaimed watchman of the Eye Valley. An impossibly old being with mysterious powers such as making objects disappear or becoming invisible, reading minds, and forming magical pacts. Maybe even more. He's responsible for sabotaging Manol's expedition and maybe all the earlier ones too. And now he's after my soul. Has he tired of feeding on fear after thousands of years, or did his diet always include an unreciprocated love? Okay. All good. All caught up, yo. Okay. Gold is to civilization as blood is to the body. The Mulgrews were a couple that lived in a city near Oblin. They were regular clients of my father's. Or rather, Mrs. Mulgrew was. She was a stern woman, capable of stopping me in time merely by furrowing her eyebrows. She carried herself with the conviction expected of a woman of her class, always standing tall and proud, but never to overshadow or to talk over her husband. But whenever the sun descended behind the gray clouds of early winter, or when it started showing up again to wake up the flowers after the snow melted, Mrs. Mulgrew's frail health would betray her. Though she left a strong impression whenever she was healthy, I mostly remember her bedridden while Dad administered her elixirs. After a job well done, we would let her rest and chat with her husband downstairs over tea. Mr. Mulgrew was a bright-eyed merchant who always wore a smile and knew how to act humbler than he actually was. It was easy to forget all about his status and wealth when he talked. though he still let the occasional reminder slip up, like the time he talked about a trading route he secured through some clever trick, or the story about his marriage, which really was a mutually beneficial arrangement between their families. What stood out to me was this saying of his, "Gold is to civilization as blood is to the body." My naive younger self thought his words were full of vanity, but reality has proved him right, hasn't it? It's because Oberlin bleeds money that it is now at death's door, and trying to cure it is why not even a broken heart or fear of a devil can keep me from getting out of bed. Today, I have an early shift at the hospital. After all, I need to get ready for work. It's an interesting feeling. Not only do Renai's demons still exist, but also one of them is after my soul. I met him in the flesh. I barely got any sleep after all. My heart kept pounding, my fur became wet and cold with sweat while my insides boiled, and every creaking floorboard in the tavern made me jump. When sleep did claim me, I drifted in and out of feverish dreams. Right now, with my hands shaking as I button up my shirt, it's as if I'm still locked in that restless trance. Nothing feels real. Had I not embraced him for that moment before I looked into his eyes for the first time, not felt his claws on my nape, and not held his hand when he offered me that show of goodwill, then I could pretend it was all a dream. Alright. But no, the memory of touch is as precise as a stitching needle. Each sensation has been etched, no, burned into my skin. And the things he said. Why did I get up today? Is it truly just out of a sense of duty? It must be, Hector, because any other possibility is unspeakable, isn't it? I exit my room with a sigh and head downstairs. My head swirls with thoughts about my encounter with Ranskai, as well as questions about what I should do and if I should tell anyone about it. But as I'm walking downstairs, gripping the handrail to keep my hands still, I see Kadan sitting at the bar. His ears flicker towards me first, then he turns to look. I know, as he gets up to greet me, that I won't have time to mull over my demonic encounter. Hector, good morning. Oh, good morning. Silence. The wolf shifts in place a little and clears his throat. Are you well? I suppose so. Got a little sleep last night. I see, that's good. It's rare for Kadan to show up at the tavern so early unless he has business here. At first glance, that doesn't seem to be the case. So there are only so many reasons he could have to be here now, and all of them circle back to last night, right after the festival. Is it too hopeful of me to suspect he has more to say, and that any of it could lead to the result that I wished for? Kadan makes to speak, but the words slip off his tongue, leaving behind a deafening silence instead. I'm not much better off. We're just standing here, scrambling to find what to say. It's a mercy when Arwell shouts from the bar, asking if we want a table. We snap out of our paralysis for long enough to accept his offer. Still, we're both completely absorbed in our thoughts. I glance at Kadan, and although Wolf is staring at his food, I can tell he's contemplating something distant. It pulls me back to Renai's secrets. Surrounded by darkness and the fading embers that remain from the festival, I recall Kadan choking and how words escaped him back then as well. I still don't understand what he was trying to tell me, or why it was so difficult for him. I can only think the Duke and his expedition made him afraid, but that doesn't sound right. Then again, this could be me idolizing him, such as when I thought spite and fire were innate parts of him. Were those ever real? Or are they just an illusion of my rose-tinted memories? It's funny. A few days ago, this thought would have been outrageous, because I thought I knew Kadan almost as well as I knew myself, and I could always tell what was going on through his head and mine. But I was mistaken. I wouldn't be this lost and confused otherwise. Have you ever seen Kadan for who he is? I'd rather not think about this now. You really should, Hector, but if you insist, perhaps you could bring what happened last night after you two parted ways. If what the devil said is true, then he's the one behind the incidents plaguing the expedition. He's a source of harm to the people of Renai. It is no small thing, Hector. You need to warn somebody. The question is how to do it without coming across like I'm goofing around or patently insane. Perhaps you need to be subtle, Hector. This time, genuinely. Kadan? The wolf looks almost relieved when I lift the silence hanging over us. Yes? You know, this was back before the last expedition, but I thought I saw a demon one night. I was tired and seeing things, but it gave me quite the scare. I suppose you looked rattled back then, yes. Maybe I'm being too subtle. It was quite something. He had red eyes, you know, and the fur on his face was strange, sort of like a mask. Come to think of it, he might have been wearing a loincloth and an armband made of stones. That's a lot of details. Are you sure you aren't thinking of the festival dancers? I blink, dumbfounded. Oh, I suppose so. They were dressed as demons. Still, I thought I saw something that night. Maybe you saw one of them going into the forest to practice. Huh, it could be. I don't know what I expected. Kadan has always been adamant about Renai's devils being extinct. He won't entertain any other possibility. If I had proof, I would take a direct approach and try to change his mind, but I don't. I'm trying to look at all the details in that scene. That's a very detailed scene. Who else could I tell? Manol? He's more likely to believe me, yes, but what he wants is proof to involve the Inquisition, and all I have to offer is an eyewitness account. At least for now, it's not a good idea. Who knows how I'll react if he finds my story dubious or useless. I'm brought back to reality when Kadan clears his throat and gets up. I should get going. Oh, right, I need to get to the hospital, too. I'll leave you to it then. Kadan is about to turn away when I call out to him and stand up to meet his gaze, though I need to look up to do so. Kadan, let's talk more later, all right? Sure thing. Excuse me. And Hector? I really am glad you're okay. Yes, thank you. And with just that, we leave the bar and go our separate ways. I huddle up out of habit, used to the battering of Renai's frigid morning wind. However, that's not what happens. I've noticed a subtle change in the weather as of late, as is to be expected with summer's arrival, but today is more drastic than that. The breeze almost feels as if it's carrying with it the warmth of the leaf-burning festival's embers, but it makes me shiver. It's not out of cold, but the warmth burying itself into my nerves, all the way up my spine. It's a sensation all too familiar, which I had forgotten in these 9 years. No time to reminisce now. I'm already running late. Work at the hospital is hectic but simple. The head doctor assesses the situations, gives orders, and we carry them out like obedient worker ants. It's almost relaxing. If it wasn't because it's not nearly as personal as taking care of my own patients, I'd prefer it. Ever since I've returned to Renai, most of what I've been doing is stitching together wounds, fixing fractures, or applying bandages. The most use my elixir-making skills have gotten is distilling blood crown petals into painkillers. Once I enter the main ward and go to the designated bed, I realize today will be different. A middle-aged wolf, somewhat shorter and skinnier than the festival dancers, lies on the bed, barely breathing. His fingers are rigid, stuck in the middle of a grasping motion. His eyes look onwards to nothing in particular. The smell of body waste in his soiled pants makes it clear he's incontinent. There's some blood on one of his legs, and upon further inspection of that area, 2 tiny shallow punctures. The surrounding blood is barely clotted. I put on my prismillion glasses to confirm my suspicion. The life force in his flesh is exceedingly still. But what worries me more is an irregular life force flow in his nerves, almost as if it was avoiding the flesh layer. It reminds me of the effect of some snake bites, but this is different. Somehow the flow of life force between the 2 layers is being disrupted without damaging either of them. I hear someone clearing his throat. I put away my glasses and turn around to meet the gaze of a tall yet hunched-over lion with a gray mane. He has a journal in hand. Head doctor, sir. A dusk viper bite. Have you ever treated one, Hector? I've brewed antidotes for many kinds of viper venom, but I'm not familiar with that species in particular, sir. Alright, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!